Hello, Wellness Way Culture. This is Dr. James with the Wellness Way Columbia. Hope you're having a great Sunday afternoon. And today's recipe is for those of you out there that have food allergens to just about bread variety there is. So again, today's recipe by far not the best gluten-free or wheat-free bread alternative, but for those of you that have a more extensive list that you're allergic to almond flour, rice flour, all of the other alternative flours, it's going to be a good option for you. Um, I have linked into a recipe. I found it on Yumly again, and so again, for the most part, you're going to be able to follow the recipe pretty straightforward. I do have an egg allergy. They call for some egg substitutions. I did about half of the egg, so 1 tablespoon of agar, 1 tablespoon of water, and then I was going through my cupboard and was like, oh, I'll do some chia seed. So the chia seed egg substitution is for 1 egg, 1 tablespoon of chia with a 1/3 cup of water. So I think that did a pretty good job blending the two together for this recipe. Allergy list, and I have a chia allergy, so I made something I can't eat. Um, so um, when you have a new food list, make sure that you are thinking and just double checking what you have in the pantry of what you would normally grab, because again, that's one of the things that if I see egg, I'll the chia seed. So again, you are dealing with a new list. And so let's go ahead and get into today's recipe. I haven't seen any comments yet, so if you want to comment where you're watching from, or if you're in the category that you found a bread that you can actually have, go ahead and I think there's a bread emoji, or at least there's at least a sandwich emoji, I'm sure. Let's see, and so what you're going to need is a loaf pan, a medium mixing bowl, a spatula, and some parchment paper. Side note on the pan, and here in the US there are two somewhat standard sizes for a loaf pan. Mine is a 9x5, I think the other is an 8x5. This recipe as written, I believe, was for the so if either use the smaller loaf pan or you're going to need to increase the amount of the recipe by about half, in my opinion. Because when I was making it, I could already tell that it wasn't going to fill up my whole loaf pan. You're going to need 2 cups of cassava flour, 6 eggs or the egg substitutes. Again, what I did was 1 tablespoon of agar and 1 tablespoon of water to equal 1 tablespoon and 1/3 a cup of water for an egg. Some water, and half a cup of avocado oil, a teaspoon of apple cider vinegar, 1 tablespoon or 1 teaspoon of baking powder, and 1 teaspoon sea salt. You're going to preheat the oven to 300 your loaf pan and you're going in your dry ingredients, so the flour, the baking powder, the salt, and then separately egg mixture and your oil mixture, and then you're going to gradually fold in the cassava flour mixture into the wet ingredients. For the most part, I really liked the ratios. It was pretty spot on. I did end up adding a little bit more water, but I think that was more on my end to doing some egg substitutions. If you read their instructions earlier, they do say that you can substitute for the oil. I kept the oil the same, but I did add in a little just to have a nice buttery flavor in the bread. And then you're going to bake it at 350 for about an hour. And it comes out, it's nice and in a relatively low form. Again, mine was a little bit small, didn't quite fill the pan, so with the parchment paper I had just smushed it down a little bit so it didn't fill up the whole pan. When working with cassava flour, don't expect it to rise very much. I want to say it minimally rose or got any bigger. So pretty much what you put in the pan is what you're going to get. So you kind of know how it's going to look when you put it in the oven. So if it doesn't fill up the pan, either squish it down or make up a little bit more of a batch and combine it all together. It does slice. I do want to show you that. I'm not going to eat it today because again, I inadvertently made a food with a food allergy in it. But it does slice and it's not super crumbly. I will say that I did end up tasting it before I realized that it had a food allergen in it, but I took some Albizia afterwards. And it sticks together. And it is relatively, stays together, not very crumbly. It does have a slight gummy texture, so again, while this is not the end-all be-all best gluten-free, wheat-free bread alternative, if you have a lot of food allergens and you're struggling to find something that resembles bread, this is a good option for you. Again, this is not no sugar compliant, so if you're doing a no sugar month, don't say that, oh, Dr. James did a video of it, so it must be no sugar compliant. This does not fall in the category compliant. But again, if you're on a different type of month, or your Wellness Way doctor has told you you can incorporate things with cassava flour, or you're not having to be super strict on your sugars, then this is a good alternative for you. It should be a pretty straightforward week. We want to wish everybody a happy February starting tomorrow. And so Dr. Jeremy, Dr. Jessica, and myself will all be in the office this week. Our next talk is going to be on February 9th with Dr. Jessica. She's going to be doing a Hope for Your Hormones talk/webinar. So we do have a few in-person seats. So if you're wanting to have an in-person interaction, go ahead and get signed up. Those seats tend to go fast, but we still have some available. And if you're needing to stay home, or if you're not able to make it in, be sure to join us on the webinar. Hope you have a great week, and we look forward to seeing you either in the office or back here online. Thank you. Have a great day.